Blessed be all my people out there. I hope you are all doing very well. In this series of June monthly astrology forecasts, I thought I would do something a bit new, but also familiar, where in the opening chapter, we talk about some of the bigger picture stuff going on as it relates to our skies before we talk about what's going on with each sign group. Now, for a lot of you out there, if you're new to my channel, hello. All you got to do if you want to look at the sign you want to look at, your sun, moon, rising, or whatever sign, you just have to navigate the chapters in the down bar below. I put timestamps and all of that. So however tech literate you are is on you, but you can totally do it. It's there. But in the way I like to do things is a bit more old school. I like to do predictive work, and I also like to talk about bigger picture at the same time. I don't want to have to choose between either one. So bigger picture here in the beginning, and then more predictive stuff for each sign in the chapters to follow. That being said, I also want to remind everybody that, of course, this is a general forecast, and when it comes to general forecasts on any kind of social media platform for the public, you do not want to deceive yourself or be deceived by others into thinking it is a personal reading. There are predators and parasites out there that just kind of burrowed their way into this community over the craze of the last decade, and in a lot of ways have made a lot of problems. There is no way for anybody to do a personal reading for you personally when they are reading for a lot of people. So please take this with a grain of salt. Understand that these are like weather forecasts when we're talking about astrology, and traffic when we're talking about tarot. But if you ever do want to get a personal reading with me, you can head on over to my website, integrativemysticism.com, or you can follow the links in that down bar below, or you can even come over to this channel for a visit on Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Pacific or 10 p.m. Eastern, US and Canada, because I also do live readings here where people can actually call in. I provide Zoom information for people to call in, and you could try me on for size that way if you'd like. And if you ever do get a reading with me, remember, it's only with me. I don't outsource to other people. It's not a hotline. You're not going to get a stranger. So what's going on when it comes to this June, and what is happening when it comes to June? June is all about big waves and graduations, and one of the biggest energy shifts of this year. And the reason for that is not only are we acclimating to Saturn, newly arrived in Aries as of the second half of May. But we also have, of course, Neptune still getting acclimated to Aries as of his recent move as well, just shortly before. And then in June, we also have Jupiter moving on into the sign of Cancer and squaring these two at the same time. Now, what happens when we have all of these planets working hard in what I term as youth signs, or the first four signs of the zodiac, we tend to see a lot more activity than we have if we have, say, an abundance of planets in elder signs, such as the last four signs of the zodiac. And so when we look at the zodiac, right, the first four signs, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, those are the youth signs. Those are the signs that tend to carry the most action-oriented energy. They tend to push towards newness and freshness, and also getting established in new things, movement, communication, all of that good stuff. When we go into the middle signs, right, now we have the Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio. These are kind of more of the adult signs. They're kind of in the middle. They're kind of all about the newness and action and activity. And also, yes, they are about transition as well as stability and establishment, which also falls into the realm of the elder signs, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. And so we have come through an era where we've had a lot of planetary activity in elder signs, right? Pluto has been in Capricorn and is now in Aquarius. Saturn has finished up his trip, so to speak, through the elder signs that he's been on since the mid-2010s. And we also have Neptune moved out of Pisces, an elder sign that he has been in since the beginning of the 2010s. And now it's time for the youth sign energy to kind of take over for the foreseeable future. And when we have all of this, we tend to see more of a, I guess you could say, the experience of astrology that we might be more accustomed to, or we tend to expect, where astrology is a lot more active in the physical everyday. more tangible labor, less intangible labor. But this is also, I think, going to change a lot of the way we interact with each other and the way we interact with the world and even astrology because of it. With Saturn and Neptune, both in Pisces, a lot of our experience with the planets has been largely intangible, right? It's been spiritual, it's been social, it's been emotional, and it's been kind of more on the non-physical wave. And yet now we have so much going on in these more, again, movement and movement-focused youth signs that we might be kind of feeling a different kind of rush. And as we go into June, the first rush that we get is actually this sense of an uncomfortable graduation that is taking place. And that is because when Jupiter goes into Cancer, he's going to actually form a very strong square to Saturn and Neptune at the same time. And while this is very strong for June, this also sets the tone for the next 12 months. Now, Jupiter is going to be in Cancer for about 12 months. And Neptune and Saturn are going to be kind of playing at the beginning of Aries for a while as well. But uncomfortable graduations are going to be kind of a universal experience for all of us, especially when it comes to things that we are getting forced to move on from in order to move onward and upward. So the way I have kind of translated this experience to myself is kind of like a band, right? Think of a band of musicians. You've got 5 musicians, and each of them brings something unique to the table, but some of them belong more than others in the band. And how that band performs, how that band thrives, how that band, begins to progress or grow or prosper really also depends on the composition of the band. And so when we look at them, it's like, all right, let's say we've got 2 guys that are definitely, authentically, they are naturally attuned to the music, to the work that they are doing, and they are basically pushed into a spot where it's like, look, we have a chance to graduate and to do something beautiful with this, and we both belong here. We both belong. This band is our band. This was always meant for us. This is our talent and our skill, our raw ability. We are the prodigies, and we love this like life itself. This is where these 2 band members are likely going to get a chance to graduate out of maybe the company of the band that maybe isn't all quite there. Maybe one other band member is just doing it because they're bored. Another band member is really talented when it comes to their music, but they're not bringing any soul. And the other band member is only there because they were there at the beginning, and they might be somebody's, I don't know, cousin or somebody's, childhood friend or whatever, just kind of coming along for the ride. We all go through uncomfortable graduations like this in life sometimes. Sometimes this is where we have to be ready to move on from things that, we kind of, it's comfortable because it's familiar, but it's also holding us back because it's done. And that is where we see, however this is going to show up in your life, the uncomfortable graduation commencing, which, again, if you live in the Western part of the world, makes perfect sense. Here we are in June, pomp and circumstance. We also have this full moon in Sagittarius trine to Chiron in Aries. And that is also amplifying this theme quite a bit, because this is all about the release of what we could term redundant realities. So redundant realities, to put it simply, would be things that are already kind of over and done. They've run their course. It's the video game that you've already played to finish and completion, and you might play it over and over and over again, but it's done. Or it might be maybe a reality that is over and done because it's just over and done, right? We've hit the limit in terms of what might be possible with this job or this connection or this town, or we might hit the limit in terms of, what more can we do about a story that's already over? Sometimes redundant realities are things that are stories or experiences or connections or roads that already have stopped, but still take up space in our lives, that still get energy, that still get resources, that still hold up whatever old reality they are. And yet this full moon and Chiron are kind of coming in and saying, okay, no more. What is the redundant reality coming up for release? It's going to be a big theme of the second half of June. All the while this is going on, the inner planets and luminaries are also kind of lending in their 2 cents as we go through this experience. Mars in Leo and in Virgo, for instance, throughout the course of this month, is pushing everybody towards higher prestige and refinement, which is actually a really good thing. I think a lot of people are going to be doing extremely well, especially when it comes to any kind of personal projects or professional aspirations that they have. Mars in Leo tends to bring in a lot of competitive opportunities and competitive gains, whereas Mars in Virgo is all about refining and removing that which is a liability in our lives and helping us to actually, again, rise up to a brighter occasion. Venus is in Taurus, at home in Taurus, and bringing in a lot of comfort and ease, especially when it comes to things that do need to be able to have more supply, more resources, or just more people power in order to comfortably come into their own. And with all of this kind of playing off of each other, June itself, while being a time of uncomfortable graduations and big waves, is also one where we can kind of look and see, okay, what is the universe supporting versus what is the universe not supporting? What is getting better and raising up whenever I am engaging in this reality versus what is always coming down and always suffering or getting held up when I'm taking my time and giving it to this reality. The new moon in Cancer, as well as the Sun and Mercury in Cancer, are also going to be playing much the same way, because there's also this big wave washing us to better roads kind of feel when these two start playing out. A lot of the times this can be about us finding our way onto better roads or finding our way onto better places to call home in the world, whether it's figuratively speaking, right? Finding a new home in terms of the business that you're doing, finding a new home in your social life, finding a new home, literally finding a new home when it comes to where you might be putting yourself out there, a new home for a project or a new home as a path. This is going to be also a big one, but not just for June, also carrying over, riding that Jupiter wave for the next couple of months. So what we need to be ready to do throughout the course of June itself is just simply give ourselves the permission to entertain an uncomfortable graduation. We do not want to be in a space where we might be kind of fighting against these things, because this is now, again, a completely different astrological composition in our skies. Whenever we have this much activity, the majority outer planet activity in the youth sign group, right, anywhere from Aries through Cancer, the skies will have their way. It's how we work with the current and we flow with the current that we are taken the best care of. So that is what we've got for the overview of the month. Let's talk about what is going on with each and every individual. So Aries, let's talk about your big waves and graduations for the month. This month for you is bringing in a lot of accelerated communication and movements just as a whole, because we start off with the Sun and Mercury in your third house of communications, pacts, promises, commitments, collaborations, as well as anything relating to helpful third parties. And so you're going to be noticing a lot of people getting more involved and giving good interference where you need it in your life. And this is going to be something of a big benefit, both in your personal life and in your professional life. The Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, and a new moon in Cancer, especially as we go towards the second half of the month and even into early July, are going to be really setting you up to work over your fourth house of home, family, living situation, and home economy. And this is going to be something that also, carries for a good few months here. Because with these guys all operating in your fourth house, you might be noticing that the very landscape, atmosphere, or setup of your home life is due for a transformation that is actually going to be a part of a big wave washing you onto a better road. Now, for a lot of you, Jupiter is going to be setting you up with a great deal of new wealth and prosperity for your home and family situation, for your home economy, as we go through the next 12 months anyway. But a lot of you are going to notice that this is also setting up a lot of new commitments or new adventures that could force you to be ready to maybe get out of a comfortable, manageable zone as far as what you've gotten used to into something brand new. Now, this could indicate some powerful shifts that could help out plans that you have for your family or your household in the future, whether you had been planning on making a move, buying or selling a home, or doing something with a home-based business operation or to boost your home economy. But with the square that it's going to be making to Saturn and Neptune, Jupiter is also going to be challenging you personally because Saturn and Neptune are in your sign, to also allow yourself to maybe stop trying to refine or stop trying to polish things where you have been maybe most comfortable in general, whether these are activities, whether this is what you're doing for people, what you're doing for family, or maybe even old goals or old plans. And pay attention to what is coming up as maybe a better alternative or a better, bigger picture. Mars in Leo and Virgo is kind of doing a bit of a renovation and revamp of both your personal life and your professional life at the same time. Mars is all about passion, romance, as well as drive and obstacle clearing. And for a lot of you this month, especially the first half, is going to feel like you are getting into a very strong power couple kind of groove, whether this is with a partner or if you are single or available, maybe even attracting somebody to carry that kind of experience with. Mars likes to have partnerships also operate as driven, ambitious friendships at the same time and bring in a lot more zest and a lot more sparks where it's needed. But you're also making a lot of important turns or changes away from things in your life or maybe aspects or parts of your personal life that have become a bit sluggish, a bit slow, a bit dull, or fallen behind themselves. And some of you may even find that Mars is inviting in and blazing new trails out of old trends the whole way. When Mars goes into Virgo in the second half of the month, his focus is going to be a bit more on your work life, your work, your reputation, and your schedule. And so things are getting a bit competitive, but competitive opportunities are also going to be on the table for you. Just keep in mind, with Mars being in this part of your chart, work might be a little bit more demanding as we go through June and even into July, but also be paying out bigger bucks wherever the hours, the assignments, the sales, or maybe even new roles are available. Venus in your second house, Taurus, for the vast majority of the month is also going to be turning you into a money and attention magnet in all things professional and career related. So make sure that you are allowing yourself to be seen and even be the beneficiary of certain favors, referrals, or maybe even gifts that could be coming your way. But also find that maybe sometimes money is not as hard to make this month because money likes to come easy when Venus is in the second house. This full moon in Sagittarius, trine Chiron in Aries, however, is going to force you to release some kind of maybe redundant reality that has been anchoring you in a space or time that you should not keep trying to polish or trying to finish up or trying to get some kind of resolution or completion with. Because this full moon is falling in your ninth house of expansion, growth, big moves, and big travel opportunities. This could be something that is maybe relating to you kind of staying in a tight bubble or something that is keeping you in a space where a turtle shell has become a bit more of a prison, whether this is something happening in a more conceptual way or something that has been maybe imposing a lot of walls and limitations and restrictions on you and on your growth that you are going to now need to be ready to let go of instead of trying to work with. Because Chiron is in your sign, it is going to be especially helpful for you getting back on a path that maybe you once left or abandoned for another cause, another person, or another reason. And now it's time to get back on track. So that's what we've got for your astrology for June, Aries. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget my name is Nico, son of Celine. And if you ever want to get a personal reading with me, head on over to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com. All right, Taurus, let's talk about your big waves and graduations for June. June 2025 starts off with the Sun and Mercury together in your second house, Gemini, which is going to be bringing in a lot of accelerated communications and movements to your second house of income, employment, and security. And you may be finding that this bustling activity around your work and income zones is not only speeding up the rate with which you can accumulate wealth or climb a professional ladder or maybe join a new workforce, it is also likely going to be pushing for a lot of changes to a current role or a current responsibility that you have. But a lot of things that have been only talk in the realm of work or in the realm of business are likely already going to start turning into action as well as we go through the rest of the month. The Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, and a new moon in Cancer, your third house of community, friends, relatives that maybe are also engaged in other areas of your life, as well as any kind of collaborations, contracts, or helpful third parties, is going to be kind of shifting gears for you in a big way. See, with Jupiter being in this part of your chart starting in June for the next 12 months as well, you're going to find that you are getting pushed by a lot of people and a lot of handoffs, hookups, referrals, as well as even matchmaking opportunities to more prosperous roads that are going to actually be not only taking care of you on the money front, but also on the social and personal front. New moons here can also indicate some kind of important collaboration, some kind of important team up, or maybe even some kind of project going through a bit of a birth or rebirth to great success. And with the Sun and Mercury here throughout this month, we're also seeing a lot of contracts, agreements, and promises not only getting fulfilled, but also evolving into things that are more substantial than what they were. Just pay attention. This is also a time where you may be asked to be more active, extroverted, and involved in other social affairs or other professional affairs than maybe you normally have been, but it is going to be well worth it. However, this could also bring a bit of an uncomfortable graduation kind of vibe because this is also forming a square to Saturn and to Neptune in your 12th house. And so you may also find that a lot of new commitments, a lot of new agreements, and a lot of new roads are opening for you, but you are going to have to be ready to also release some attachments that you have to old roads, familiar patterns, and routines if you want them to take. Mars is in Leo and Virgo this month, which is lighting up your 4th house of home and family and your 5th house of love and romance. And so Mars in your 4th house is all about helping you to knock down a lot of walls as it relates to maybe some things you'd like to shift, improve, or boost around your home economy, as well as even settling and closing up old family challenges, residential challenges, or family stories. With Mars here as well, you may also find that any kind of home-based business operations or home-based investments are going to be going through a bit of a rise. But don't be surprised if Mars also stirs the pot a little bit as it relates to any kind of tense family issues that may be ongoing. He's going to try to bring them up so that they can be dealt with for good. As we go into the second half of the month, Mars in Virgo, your 5th house of love and romance, is working on creating a lot more fun, excitement, and passion through accomplishment and achievement with partners and partnerships, or for those of you who are single or available, bringing in potential romantic opportunities to engage in more of a power couple dynamic with you. Mars likes to have romantic partnerships function more like ambitious friendships in addition to all of the mushy romantic stuff. And so that could be an interesting change to the dynamic or maybe the setup that you have in your personal life right now. But also at the same time, yes, bring in more of a sexy spark where it is needed. Venus is in your sign throughout the majority of the month, and so you're also going to be noticing that you're becoming a bit of a love, attention, and romance magnet anyway, but also being the magnet for a lot of favors and support from people that could be getting more involved in personal projects, personal roads, or personal ambitions that you yourself have been maybe shorthanded with getting off the ground. You know, when we have planets in our sign, it's all about us. It's all about what we've got going on that we are working on by ourselves, maybe not sharing with partners or friends or coworkers or family members. But with Venus in your sign, you might be getting more help with things that have been solo jobs, and you might want to welcome it. And finally, again, this full moon, which is lighting up the second half of our month, is going to be falling in your 8th house of shared resources, passive income, as well as shared responsibilities and investments, and forming a strong trine to Chiron in Aries. And so you're going to be called upon to release some kind of redundant reality that may attach you to another person or another situation that is a bygone era of your life. Now, this can be some kind of old business, an account, or maybe even something wrapped up, again, with an old connection or an old story. But it is something that is also going to be very liberating and very healing to do so. Make sure that we don't hold on to redundant realities as we go through the rest of this year, because guess what? The more we release, the more we get. So that is what we've got for your June astrology, Taurus. I hope you found this helpful. And if you did, don't forget my name is Nico, son of Celine. And should you ever want to get a personal reading with me, you can head on over to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com. All right, Gemini, this is what is going on when it comes to your June 2025 and your big waves and graduations. So we start off the month with the Sun and Mercury together in your sign, bringing in a lot of accelerated communications and movement around solo projects as well as personal ambitions that maybe you have been working on all by yourself or with people on a need-to-know basis. Whenever we have planets or luminaries in our sign, remember, it brings us back to our story. It brings us back to our roads, irrespective of what we've got going on with other people, such as partners, friends, family members, coworkers, and things like that. And so it's a time for a lot of you to not only get ahead with things that are deeply personal and meaningful to you, but also personal projects, ambitions, or paths that maybe you've had to kind of set aside or stall for involvements with other people or the outside world. The Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, and a new moon in Cancer are going to be bringing in some huge waves as it relates to washing your financial life, your professional life, and your work life all on to better, thriving roads. And that is because with Jupiter moving in here, it's kind of setting you up for a very special 12 months. Jupiter in the 2nd house is one of the times we have a chance to really kind of get off of a track that has had a bit of an income cap to it and move on to something that has a higher height to climb. I often see people even get a chance to jump a tax bracket when Jupiter goes through a financial area of their chart, houses 2, 10, or 6, in this case for you, house 2. And with this Jupiter transition, this could be a time, though, where alongside that new moon in Cancer and the Sun and Mercury there, you might also be finding that you are getting ready to segue away from maybe a way that you have been handling business or money or even your professional circumstances until now. Again, this is a wash taking you onto better roads. Sometimes this can be something that happens to and for us at the same time. We get maneuvered onto a different track, we get offered a different job, we get pushed into a promotion or to a transfer that might upset other plans, and yet at the same time set us up for something quite golden. However, because of that Jupiter square to Saturn and Neptune, this is where your uncomfortable graduation happens starting this year. You may need to also be ready to release or detach from some kind of enmeshment or some kind of binding agreement or influence that you have with a group, an individual, or a team, or some kind of old path that maybe just by our attachment to it could be kind of holding you back, or would maybe preclude this from proceeding in an easy way, right? Sometimes we have to be ready to roll where the wave is going, and any kind of stuck stones or any kind of old business, even if it's about friends or family or old projects or old ambitions or old whatevers, do need to be sorted out so that we can capitalize on the gains that we are making. Mars is in Leo for the first half of the month, and then also in Virgo for the second half of the month. And so Mars in Leo is really turning on your third house of communications, pacts, promises, commitments, helpful third parties, and collaborations. And with Mars here, this is where we see at least one, possibly more champions show up in your life to help you fight and win your battles. And when it comes to overcoming obstacles or cutting up old contracts, or maybe just even helping you to clean up your world, clean up your reality, Mars likes to bring forth that warrior presence. Whether this is a known or unknown individual, or maybe a couple of individuals, they're going to become a more active, operative presence in your life. However, with Mars here, pay attention. You might also notice that you are getting a lot of help opening doors, or even completing or moving forward things that you have been short-handed with. The second half of the month, with Mars going on into Virgo, your fourth house of home, family, and home economy, is really doing a number on transforming the way your home life or your household economy functions. Mars in this part of your chart can help you to eliminate any kind of old problems or issues that have become part of the scenery around maybe household economy matters, or anything to do with old family business, old family legacies, or anything that could be maybe some trouble on a domestic or residential matter, whether it has to do with the infrastructure itself, home projects, whatever. It's a great time for anybody looking to maybe close up shop with any kind of home projects, or maybe even living situations, as Mars can also help blaze trails to new frontiers for those that are looking to make some kind of move or establish themselves in new territory. We also have Venus in Taurus throughout the course of this month. And so Venus is bringing a lot of comfort and ease to your 12th house of the past, private matters, secrets, and hidden opportunities. Now, this is a time where a lot of you may be noticing that your personal life is becoming more of a sanctuary and a retreat. Love and romance is kind of happening away from the crowd. And so this could be a time where you and partners are taking a bit more time to enjoy a bit more fantasy fulfillment, or a little bit more special time away from people. Or you may be finding that new love opportunities, or maybe new or new-ish love opportunities, are starting to thrive under more private, cozy conditions as well. With Venus in Taurus, you may also be the recipient of some special secret favors, gifts, and yes, even some money or other kinds of potential financial hookups coming through less obvious routes and avenues. But your full moon in Sagittarius this month, the one that compels you to release redundant realities, is also going to be very strong. This full moon in Sagittarius is landing in your 7th house of partnerships and closest one-on-one connections. This is the area that talks about the boyfriend, girlfriend, the BFF, the business partner, the husband, wife, the roommate, all the people you have your most involved one-on-one shared ventures with. And it's forming a strong trine to Chiron in your 11th house of friendships and your support system. There may be something coming up this month where you have to release some kind of project, involvement, or binding agreement that you have made in one of these relationships in order to actually do better for all people involved. This may be something that comes up with the other party, or this something comes up organically. But with this full moon trine to Chiron, what we can often see is something that could be something that we have to dissolve or let go of for the good of ourselves and the other. And so it's going to be time for that, but it's likely something that was already over and done, or again, a redundant reality anyway. So that is what we've got for you, Gemini people. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, don't forget my name is Nico, son of Selene, and should you ever want to get a personal reading with me, head on over to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com. To be all my Cancerian people out there, it's time for your June 2025 monthly astrology. So we're going to talk about what's going on with your big waves and graduations. At the start of the month, we've got the Sun and Mercury in Gemini, your 12th house of the past, private matters, secrets, shortcuts, and hidden opportunities. And this is going to be an interesting beginning of the month because you might be finding out about a lot of opportunities for you to take some shortcuts to certain goals or certain roads or maybe even certain commitments that were not available before. This could also be a time where a lot of accelerated communications and development are happening in closed quarters where it needs to happen. But at the same time, there could even be some important revivals and reconnects going on with important allies, social connections, or even professional benefactors that could be helping you out when it comes to raising yourself up in your public life. We also have the Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, and a new moon in Cancer this month, creating big waves and washing you to better roads, you yourself, because it's all happening in your sign. This is a very important month for you, as well as just a very important rest of the year for you, because when we have Jupiter in our sign, it is all about you kind of becoming the wild card beneficiary of the planet of luck, good fortune, and prosperity. But it really is all about your personal journey, your personal story, your personal road, irrespective of what you have going on with other people, friends, partners, family members, coworkers, and the like. And with the Sun, Mercury, and a new moon for you here, this is likely going to be a month that kicks off a huge transformation where a lot of you are getting a chance to get the funding, the social support, and maybe even the backup you need to get back on track with a road or maybe even with a life that you once walked away from in order to be where you are now. Likely something that you might miss or always planned on reviving or reconnecting to. With this big wave of, energy in your sign, this can also be a very important period where a lot of you are getting a chance to change tracks, especially in a situation where maybe you have been kind of living another person's life or living another person's timeline or living in accordance with another world or another space that's got kind of nothing to do with you or your story. Mercury is also going to be speeding up growth with any kind of personal projects or personal paths that you're on, and you may even find that Jupiter is stimulating a big jump for you in terms of your fame, your popularity, and even your professional prowess. Your uncomfortable graduation this month, however, is Jupiter in your sign square to Saturn and Neptune in Aries. And it's very likely that you are getting a chance to rise up in a very big way in the professional world, whether this has to do with some kind of big promotional opportunity, new job, or world change around a career or business matter as we go through the next couple of months. But it is going to force you to also shift away from maybe old paths or old trajectories that you thought you wanted to commit to. And so there could be some cognitive dissonance coming up a lot, especially as we go through June, July, and early August. Mars in Leo, and then eventually Virgo, is also pushing you to start shaking it up when it comes to your professional life and anything that you are trying to accomplish with your career. Mars in your second house of income and employment, the first half of the month, is really giving you a chance to start breaking down a lot of barriers, especially when it comes to not only increasing your earning power, but changing how you are received by other people, both on the job as well as when it comes to business, clients, customers, and professional presence. And Mars is also going to be putting a lot of competitive opportunities in front of you, and you want to make sure that you're ready to show up for them. The second half of the month with Mars in Virgo is going to be bringing in a lot of important help into your life. Mars in the third house of communications, contracts, commitments, collaborations, and helpful third parties likes to bring us what I would call champions to our cause, or champions or defenders coming to help us out. And this could be a really good time, especially if you do need some kind of extra help when it comes to maybe lifting something up, making projects grow bigger, or you would like to kind of take on the world or maybe a big priority with the help of some very big muscle. Mars here can also be very good for helping to close and eliminate contracts, binding agreements, and old business that might still be exerting a negative influence over you in the present. And that's not just for this month, that's also for July. Venus is in Taurus nearly all month long, and this is going to be bringing a great deal of fun and love to your 11th house of friendships and your support system. And romance is going into a very extroverted way for you. In fact, honestly, with Venus in the 11th house, you might be finding that your partnerships are thriving because they are getting out and actually getting better connected with community, right? We do also want to have a support system for our partnerships. This is also a time where you may be finding a lot more adventurousness coming out of romantic partners. And for those of you who are single or are available to new people, this is also a time where a lot of you could be meeting people through a social group, a special interest, or community or friendship connection that you have. And finally, for your full moon of the month, your full moon in Sagittarius is lighting up your 6th house of work, reputation, schedule, the people that you serve, and the people that you serve with. Now, this full moon is going to be trine Chiron and Aries in your 10th house, and it's time to get ready to release some redundant realities. And as far as you are concerned, this is likely something that is going to require you to be ready to accept some kind of professional change or alteration, of course, as we go through the second half of June and into early July. Now, this could be something that is just what the doctor ordered, that could give you a big break when it comes to your work life, business, however it goes. But it is also going to require you to let go of a space where you have probably overstayed and didn't even know it, whether it's literally or figuratively speaking. This could also indicate some kind of shift in terms of role, or maybe an opportunity to strike gold with something new, but requiring you to make a bit of a departure from your usual way of going about and doing your business. So that is what I've got for you, Cancerian people. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, don't forget my name is Nico, son of Celine, and if you ever want to get a personal reading with me, head on over to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com. All right, Leo, so what is going on when it comes to your June 2025, and what are your big waves and graduations? Well, we start off the month with the Sun and Mercury together in Gemini, your 11th house of friendships, your support system, and community. And so this is all about accelerated communications and movement, really stimulating your social life. And this is a time where you may want to be a bit more public, a bit more outgoing, and a bit more forthcoming with things that you have going on with your friendship circles, because this is the time where we see a lot of people that we may or may not have thought would have had a clue in to maybe what we're looking for, or maybe have their finger on the pulse of something that we are looking for, or maybe even people who we are looking to maybe help us find whatever are going to be able to do just that. Because when we have the Sun and Mercury in our 11th house, it is a time to get hooked up and get by with a little help from your friends. And this is also a time where you may be noticing a lot of other corners of your world, a lot of other areas of your astrology chart benefiting from more involvement and more awareness on the part of your friends. And you may be even noticing new bonding activities and even a boost to your popularity and new friends getting attracted to you. We also have the Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, and a new moon all taking over your 12th house of the past, private matters, secrets, hidden opportunities, as well as shortcuts, the sign of Cancer. And this is opening up a huge wave that's going to kind of last for the rest of 2025 and on into 2026. Jupiter moving into your 12th house is where we are seeing a big shift in how Jupiter operates in your skies. Jupiter is the planet of abundance, prosperity, good fortune, and good luck. And a lot of modern astrologers typically say, oh, when Jupiter's in the 12th house, that means that he's not working as strong, he's at half power, and it's bad. Those people need to go back to the library and read up on some old school astrology. Because Jupiter in the 12th house is actually a time where it's not necessarily so much that Jupiter is not working as strong as he could, but it's really more that Jupiter is just simply going to work by less obvious means or less in-your-face ways. Jupiter in the 12th house is a beautiful time, especially for anybody looking to receive some very important shifts in their life through shortcuts, or again, secret favors, as well as even opportunities to reconnect with wealth, good opportunities professionally and personally as it relates to the past or past roads. In fact, you may be noticing a lot of important and very happy revivals going on over the course of this next 12 months, especially as it relates to things from your past that maybe you miss, or things that you would like to do again, or things that have been maybe staying small in your life that you wish could grow bigger. Jupiter likes to grow things, and so small projects, small business, small hustles, small income avenues start to become a lot more substantial when Jupiter is in the 12th house. But you've also got to be ready because, again, Jupiter does this through roundabout ways and also likes to bring helpers as well. But you've got to make sure that your thinking cap is on when it comes to working these things out. The Sun and Mercury and a new moon here are also focusing on some important revivals. And a new moon in the 12th house is a resurrection moon. And so it's very possible that something could be going through a process of getting brought back to life as we go through June and July. This could be, again, an old aspiration, an old goal, an old era of your life that was actually really good to you. And the Sun and Mercury are reconnecting you with old paths, old resources, and old allies. Your uncomfortable graduation this month is going to come when Jupiter forms that square to Saturn and Neptune in Aries. And this is, again, going to start this month, but be a big theme of the next few months. Now, Jupiter square to Saturn and Neptune from the 12th to the 9th house could have you going through some social migrations as we go through the rest of this year. Jupiter is working on getting you back in alignment with an aspect of yourself that you used to be, that maybe you had to give up, couldn't be anymore, or turned away from for whatever reason. But it could also shift you away from what you have been holding up in terms of the world for other people, or maybe activities you've been carrying on, obligations you've been holding, or even just kind of lifestyle and reality matters that you have been keeping up in the present day. Jupiter in the 12th house square to anything in the 9th house could also put you in a very unique position to reclaim some kind of old glory. But you are going to have to be ready to let go of a path that maybe you've been coming down to the point you're at today. Mars is in your sign for the first half of this month. And so with Mars in your sign, this is a time where a lot of your personal roads, your personal goals, and personal ambitions are highlighted. Whenever we have a planet or a luminary in our sign, it's about getting us back on our road, irrespective of what is going on with other people and other connections that we have, getting back to the road that we're here to be on. And with Mars in this part of your chart, there's something that's coming up where you're getting a chance to maybe get rid of some kind of obstacle or some kind of block that has been keeping you from maybe actually doing something for yourself as far as a big ambition, project, or road is concerned. The second half of the month, Mars will be in Virgo, your second house of income, employment, and security. And this is a time where a lot of you Leo people could be raking in a lot of cash, but spending a lot more time at work. Because Mars in the second house likes to bring in some overtime while also providing some serious competitive opportunities for you to play with. And we will also have Venus in Taurus the vast majority of this month, which is another income area of your chart. It's the 10th house of career, upward mobility, status, promotions, and raises. And with Venus here, it's very likely that you could be finding that a new home away from home kind of feel is happening on the work front, or maybe around some kind of present or new career opportunity. This is also a time where you could be lifted up as a favor or pulled into an inner circle kind of experience to help make some important changes around a work, business, or career matter, or maybe even get celebrated for something that you're bringing to the table. Your full moon of the month is in Sagittarius, which is your 5th house of love and romance, and it's forming a very strong trine to Chiron in Aries. And this is where you are coming up for the release of some kind of redundant reality, right? That was the other big thing we talked about in the intro. And with a full moon here, this can sometimes require us to be ready to let go of some aspect of our personal lives that is over. It's done, but still is taking up space or energy or kind of exerting authority that it should not. Now, for a lot of us, this could show up in the form of maybe some old setup, some old agreement, or maybe some old way of, running things around a relationship or a partnership. This could be an old plan or an old deal. And for some people, this could, yes, be a matter of old relationships in general that are coming up to be released because, again, they are redundant realities. They've got nowhere to grow and nowhere to go, and they don't belong here. And this will be, of course, very freeing and very clearing for your personal life as it should be. So that is what we've got for your astrology for June, Leo. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, don't forget my name is Nico, son of Celine. And if you ever want to get a personal reading with me, head on over to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com. All right, Virgo, let's talk about your June 2025 and what are your big waves and graduations. Well, we start off the month with the Sun and Mercury both in Gemini, your 10th house of career, upward mobility, status, station, promotions, and raises. And this is all about accelerated communications and movement, and yes, the acceleration of your ability to accumulate wealth. When we have these two together in the 10th house, this is a time for stimulating business and activity, commerce, where it has just not been happening before. If you feel like maybe a lot of your work or your professional life or even your personal business has just been kind of dealing with a lot of people or a lot of situations that are all talk or they're not going anywhere, or it just kind of feels like things have fallen into a bit of a slump, June is definitely going to be some good medicine. This is also a time, however, where you may be noticing that you're a bit more in demand, so make sure you're okay to be in demand. We also have the Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, and a new moon all lining up in the sign Cancer as we go through June. This is your 11th house of friendships, your support system, and community. And so when we have Jupiter here, this is very, very important because this is a time where you're getting a chance to rise up in the eyes of others. This next year could provide a bit of a launch or a 15 minutes of fame kind of experience for a lot of you. And you may be noticing that you are growing not only in terms of, your popularity or your friendship group or your standing in your community, but you are also starting to receive a lot of benefits, boosts, gifts, and uplifts from your friends that are huge, right? When we're talking about things that could actually be turning a page in other chapters of your life. Jupiter in your 11th house is also going to be drawing in the resources and connections that you need in order to actually accomplish some kind of big, lofty dream or aspiration that could even seem like it is just a wild imagining. And with the Sun and Mercury and a new moon here, the landscape of your social life is transforming. And it could even be that a lot of you are getting a chance to even set yourself up with a brand new sense of community, a brand new sense of business, or maybe even get yourselves into a space where you're becoming a bit of a globetrotter. Jupiter likes to make us travel and make us move when he's in the 11th house. And so for a lot of you, you could be getting on the move. This is also a beautiful, beautiful time for any Virgos out there that are looking to maybe finally debut something that they want to put out there that they want to pick up traction with the general public. I do want to mention that when I first started this channel back in 2013, it was when Jupiter went into Cancer that I actually built up enough business really, really fast in order to actually quit my day job. And within months, I was already starting to do my traveling, doing retreats. The online spiritual community was very different back then. It was not treated so much as like a TV show. It was a lot more interactive, a lot more cool. But I think we're going back there anyway, so that's good. But there is also a big transformation to just how things were running in my life, where I could actually get, again, a lofty ambition off the ground. And for a lot of you Virgo people out there, it's your year to get your version of that going. Whatever it is, make sure it's original, make sure it happens. We also have your uncomfortable graduation moment, however, being when Jupiter in that 11th house, doing his good stuff, forms a tense square to Saturn and Neptune in Aries, your 8th house of shared resources, passive income, and shared responsibilities. And so while you are going through a bit of a rise, it may be that you also have to be ready to graduate out of a lot of entanglements and a lot of involved connections that maybe have been speaking too much for your time, your availability, your space, and your resources. These could be obligations that we have to other people. These could be joint accounts, projects, debts, anything where we have been kind of crossed up or tied up with too many other people and too many other circumstances and conditions. It will be something that becomes a noticeable priority this month, but you will be getting a chance to do your clearing this month and July and August as well. And that the more you do, the better off you'll be. We also have Mars in Leo for the first half of the month. This is your 12th house of the past, private matters, secrets, hidden opportunities, as well as shortcuts. And so we've got a really, really nice turn with Mars here, helping you to close up anything that could be considered outstanding or old business that has been maybe blocking new beginnings. Sometimes the 12th house can be the area that shows us where the ball and chain is in our life. And Mars is going to be bringing in not only people, but opportunities to start breaking off balls and chains and weights you've been carrying, not only for yourself, but also for others. And you may also find that Mars in the 12th house could be lighting up a bit of your social life by pulling closer friends and allies and connections that are also going to lift up some kind of private pursuit or private desire. After we get to the second half of the month, Mars is in Virgo, your sign. And whenever Mars goes into our sign, we get Mars backing us up in all matters that we need his backup in order to get back in alignment with a lot of personal roads, personal paths, and personal projects that we may have fallen out of sync with because of, well, being overly involved in other things. Remember, whenever we have a planet or a luminary in our sign, it is about our journey and the journey that we are here to live. Now, with Mars in our sign, this could be a great time for us to also really break through with things that have become stuck or stagnant or fallen behind themselves. And you may also find Mars in your sign is putting you in a space to maybe gain some competitive advantages in any kind of business or work-related matters that you need to get ahead of the competition. We've got Venus in Taurus pretty much all month long. And this is your 9th house of expansion, growth, big moves, big travel opportunities, as well as anything relating to official matters and even spirituality. And this is where love goes into more of a worldly way. And you may be finding that your love life is starting to become a lot more explorative. Now, this could be that love and romance does take on a bit more of a spiritual tone, whether it's partners becoming more spiritually engaged, involved, or curious, or maybe you're taking some adventure time with a romantic partner, or you may be getting attracted to some more exotic or maybe foreign types of locales or experiences to share with a partner. Or it could be, if you're single or available, you could be drawing close a partner that could seem like they are foreign or distant from you in terms of their origin story, or maybe even somebody who has a bit of a spiritual connection with you. And finally, for your full moon in Sagittarius, trine Chiron and Aries, right? Where are you going to be releasing some redundant realities? Well, we've got the full moon here lighting up your fourth house of home, family, as well as living situation and home economy. Now, this could be a time where a lot of you are going to be getting a chance to break free of some kind of trap or trapping kind of condition that has been sort of there around a living situation, or again, a home or family matter, or possibly even give yourself a chance to make some kind of important move or break with your life as far as a living situation or a home economic priority is concerned. This could be something, however, that does require you to, again, release something that you don't feel ready to move on from or let go of, even though it is a redundant reality. It is never going to become anything more than what it is. But it will be good for you, it'll be good for your living situation and your home economy to see how to make it happen. So that is what I've got for you all. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, don't forget my name is Nico, son of Celine, and should you ever want to get a personal reading with me, head on over to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com. All right, Libra, let's have a look and see what's going on with your June 2025 and your big waves and graduations. We start off the month with the Sun and Mercury in Gemini, your ninth house, which is all about expansion, big moves, big travel opportunities, and anything relating to official matters and even spiritual matters. And this is all about accelerated communications and movement. And for a lot of you, this is going to be a time where a lot of big moves or big transfers, big contracts, big promises, big conversations that have just been kind of all talk, but nothing more than talk, are finally starting to substantiate and get going. This is also going to be a very important month where something is going to open up the world for you, or maybe even some kind of personal project or personal ambition that has been forced to wait its turn or wait until the world was ready. Some of you may also find that because the Sun and Mercury are here together, there could even be some old outstanding matters around big contracts, communications, or plans that are coming up to be fulfilled and completed that are overdue for that completion. We also have the Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, and a new moon all lighting up your 10th house of career, upward mobility, status, promotions, and raises, Cancer, which is all about you rising up in the world. Jupiter moving in here this month is setting you up for a lot of 12-month breakthroughs. And Jupiter in the 10th house is basically one of the times where you get a chance to completely change what you consider your monthly and yearly take home. Whenever we have Jupiter in an income area, houses 2, 6, or 10, in this case for you 10, we see an opportunity to possibly even get out of a tax bracket. And with this, you are noticing big waves washing you to better roads. Now, for a lot of you, this could indicate a bit of an upset to what you consider the norm in terms of career, business, or how you do things, but also at the same time, fresh new spaces, new roles, new jobs coming up, or possibly even some kind of new career road or trajectory getting paved for you. Mercury is also going to be speeding up the rate with which you are accumulating wealth, and you may find that some kind of new career, opportunity, offer, or commitment needs to really be considered, because it could actually be just the turnkey that gets the rest of these trends going as we close up June and on through July. Jupiter, however, will be square to Saturn and Neptune, and so your uncomfortable graduation moment may come when you realize that there is an opportunity that you need to be able to really dedicate yourself to that could challenge or clash with maybe some kind of joint agreement, joint arrangement, joint commitment, or obligation that you have to another person, whether it's a family member, a friend, a roommate, a business partner, or maybe even an arrangement you have set up with a romantic partner. And it is something that is going to be a bit of a feature over the course of the next few months. It's really important to let yourself graduate from whatever this setup was, but it can be somewhat uncomfortable. Sometimes, we have to work out difficult conversations with family members or with friends or with partners about things that we could really use a little leeway for this change for. And sometimes, it can be kind of tough to get that going in the beginning. However, graduating out of maybe certain contracts or graduating out of old arrangements is also going to be really good for you and everybody else involved. But again, graduating out of something you've become known for or what's become expected of you can be tough. We also have Mars in Leo for the first half of the month. And so this is your 11th house of friendships, your support system, and community. And with Mars here, this is a time where a lot of you are going to find that a lot of important help from friends could be helping you solve or get out of situations that you have not been able to get out of on your own. Mars in the 11th house is a time where true friendships, true loyalty, and true honor are emphasized, right? Mars is the warrior planet, so friendships and honor among friends, honor among fellow warriors, honor among, brotherhoods and sisterhoods, that's a huge priority to Mars. And so over the course of this period, you're going to not only be seeing a lot of people showing up for you, but also wanting to help actually carry you through situations where maybe you have been just kind of getting by. You may also find that sometimes they can be a bit forceful, but it is going to be something for your own good. However, with Mars in this part of your chart as well, you might also have it highlighted where some fake, superficial friends may not necessarily be friends after all. Mars does not tolerate people who live behind masks. Mars does not tolerate friendships that are persona-based, and he might be revealing a few rats that you didn't know were around you. The second half of the month, we've got Mars moving on into Virgo, your 12th house of the past, private matters, secrets, hidden opportunities, as well as shortcuts. And with Mars here, you might be also getting set up for some beautiful opportunities to break away from some burdens and balls and chains you've been carrying from past eras of your life. Mars is a strong problem solver, and so it's also very possible things that you've maybe been carrying or stuck carrying for whatever reason, whether it's because of old issues, old debts, old problems, old challenges that still exert an influence over the present, Mars is coming into your 12th house to help you alleviate those weights and burdens, not only in the back half of June, but also as we go through July. Venus is in Taurus pretty much entirely throughout June, and this is your 8th house of shared resources, passive income, but also intimacy. And so you're going to be kind of getting a double boost from Venus here. On the financial side of things, you might be noticing a lot of bonus income coming your way, money coming your way that has nothing really to do with, your salary or base income. This could be something happening by surprise every once in a while. This could be extra hours, extra sales, or even increases in earnings that you make from certain investments and side hustles, as well as even money possibly getting shared with you from business partners and romantic partners. But this is also a time where things can get very sexy. And for a lot of you, you might be finding that things are getting quite hot throughout June as well, as Venus likes to get people a lot more vulnerable, a lot more sensual, and a lot more in touch. And finally, your full moon of the month, your full moon in Sagittarius, the release of redundant realities you need to be ready for, is occurring in your 3rd house of communications, pacts, promises, and commitments. But it's also forming a very strong trine to Chiron in Aries. There is likely going to be something coming up in the second half of this month where a contract or, again, a commitment, a covenant, or a binding influence in your life needs to be undone and removed. And this is something that's going to be coming up for release. But remember, it's the release of a redundant reality. It has nowhere else to go. It has nothing else it can actually be. It's living death. And it might be something that was once attached to an account, an old chapter of your life, or maybe even something that you had going on with other people. But as this comes up for release and completion, so too comes a very powerful boost to something better. So that's what we've got for your astrology Libra. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, don't forget my name is Nico, son of Celine, and should you ever want to get a personal reading with me, you can always go on ahead to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com. Okay, Scorpio, let's have a look and see what's going on with your June 2025 and what your big waves and graduations are going to be. Well, at the start of the month, we've got the Sun and Mercury together in Gemini, which is your 8th house of shared resources, passive income, as well as bonus capital, investments, and any responsibilities that you might share with other people, as well as income you might share with partners, be they business partners or romantic partners. And this is a beautiful time, especially because the Sun and Mercury together tend to like to bring in bonus capital and bonus money from all kinds of different places, whether this is from a more primary income source or from little extras that you might be encountering throughout the course of this first 10 days or so of the month. Whatever the case is, though, we're starting off a little flush with cash and, getting ahead on the month of June. After that, though, we start to see the waves come in with Mercury, Jupiter, a new moon, and the Sun all activating your 9th house, Cancer, the area of your chart that rules big moves, big travel opportunities, prominence, anything that we could consider big city or anything official, anything to do with your popularity. This is going to be a big part of not only June, but really set the tone for the next 12 months for you. Jupiter moving into this part of your chart is all about graduation in the strongest sense, especially when it comes to moving you on up in the world as it relates to how you are getting yourself out there, how you're influencing other people. This is a brilliant time to get started on any kind of big travel plans, big move plans. You may also be finding that a lot of things that you're putting out there for others to view, whether it's through social media, through personal business, or anything that you're looking to grow, is starting to pick up a lot of important attention. With Jupiter in your 9th house, this is also, however, going to be a time where you are getting pushed by the world to also leave a lot of what we could call small town, small ponds behind. And the Sun and Mercury and this new moon in the second half of the month are really going to be locking in a new trajectory in all of these affairs for you. However, this is also the cause for what we would call our uncomfortable graduation experience. Everyone's going to get one this month, where Jupiter will be square to Saturn and Neptune in your 6th house of work, reputation, your schedule, and the people that you serve and serve with. This kind of combination can often bring up feelings of leaving something behind that has been a familiar, safe container, but has also been very limiting. And for you, this could have to do with what you do for other people, what you hold up for other people, how you work for other people, the crowds that you serve, business itself, or maybe even something that you're doing for community or members of your community or your space. Every once in a while, we have to go through these moments where we're ready to graduate, where we are ready to, again, kind of skip a grade, go up a notch, but we have to be ready to also say goodbye to some things that have been staples that have also been maybe now keeping us bunched up or locked up in some way. We also have Mars in Leo and Virgo all month long. And so with Mars in Leo for the first half of the month, we've got this big focus again on your 10th house of upward mobility, career raises, promotions, and status changes. And so with Mars here, this is going to be a time where a lot of doors are being opened for you by other people. Mars brings champions to our cause, recommendations, referrals, authority figures, it does not matter, who come and kind of help to push us to levels or heights that maybe we didn't think we could achieve. This is a great time for breaking through any kind of barriers or any kind of blockades that you might be experiencing on an income level. But this is also a time where you are noticing things getting more competitive, but also more competitively rewarding when it comes to your work life, your career, and vocation. The second half of the month, Mars will be in Virgo. And so this is going to be changing the tone a little bit. This is your social life, friendships, community, your support system. And when Mars is in your 11th house, this is the time where you're noticing your support system starting to behave in a lot more of an assertive way on your behalf. Mars likes to bring people together that are right for each other. Mars is the warrior planet, so honor and love among warriors, among brotherhoods, among sisterhoods, among teammates is huge for Mars. And you might also be noticing people coming in and helping you to do things for you, or maybe even help carry you to places that you've been trying to get to on your own as well. However, Mars is not a fan of fakers, posers, and personas. And so you may also find that some people's behavior or personalities or relationships that only go skin deep, that are only on the surface, might be getting revealed and might be getting released. We also have Venus in Taurus all month long, essentially almost all month long. And this is your 7th house of partnerships, closest one-on-one connections. This is the area that rules the boyfriend, girlfriend, the BFF, the business partner, the husband, wife, and the roommate, all the people you have your most involved one-on-one connections with as well. And with Venus here, this is about sweetening and strengthening all of your closest one-on-one connections, bringing in more love and more intimacy and closeness into romantic partnerships, bringing in more comfort and even more success to platonic and business partnerships. And also for those of you looking to build more of these relationships in your life, or maybe actually attract more of these connections in your life, bringing that attraction and favor focus of Venus to do that as well. And finally, we've got our full moon in Sagittarius to talk about. That full moon in Sag that's also going to be trine to Chiron and Aries. And this is where we need to be ready for the other big moment of our month, or the big 2 weeks of our month, the release of redundant realities. And for you, there could be something going on here where an important transition on an employment, income, or work level does actually release you from a stuck condition as it relates to something that has been maybe wrong or broken about your workplace, or about your field, or about the market, or a financial situation that you have. However, it can be a little bit tough because it is also, while healing and very good for you, going to force you to get ready to adapt to something and think on your feet that could be a little bit alien as we go into July. So make sure that you're ready for that too. So that is what I've got for you, Scorpio folks. I hope you found this helpful. And if you did, don't forget my name is Nico, son of Celine. And should you ever want to get a personal reading with me, head on over to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com. All right, Sagittarius, let's talk about your June 2025 and what are your big waves and graduations. Well, we've got the Sun and Mercury at the start of the month in Gemini, your 7th house of partnerships and closest one-on-one connections. This is the area that rules the boyfriend, girlfriend, BFF, business partner, husband, wife, roommate, all of the people in your life as well who might have some close one-on-one connection or involvement with you. And with the Sun and Mercury here together, we're seeing accelerated communications and movement with joint plans, with joint ventures, and anything that you might be trying to work on or accomplish in these partnerships, or speeding up the maturation or the development of important partnerships that are already in the making. This can also be a really, really good time for opening up your sense of community or your social life in order to attract or at least make the necessary connections to have such partnerships, be they romantic, platonic, business, it doesn't matter, that you are looking to, of course, mingle in and make connections with. So it's going to open up with a very social month that you want to make sure that you can rise to the occasion for. After that, we've got the Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, and a new moon all lighting up your 8th house of shared resources, passive income, as well as anything to do with bonus capital or income that you might share or responsibilities that you might share with partners, such as business partners or romantic partners. And this is setting a new tone for your life, pretty much not just for June, but for the rest of the year. Jupiter moving into this part of your chart is the reason for the big waves washing you onto better roads. Because when Jupiter goes into the 8th house, you're going to be noticing you are coming into a very wealthy way, starting in June and building up pretty consistently as we go through the rest of the year and on into 2026. Jupiter in the 8th house likes to raise up anything that could actually do or perform better. Now, whether these are financial accounts or these are business partnerships, a personal business, or maybe an investment, or anything that you're trying to create or accomplish as far as maybe extra income streams, you got it. And with Mercury and the Sun here, this is also a time where you could be noticing a little bit more extra bonus activity as far as money and extra capital are concerned. And a new moon at the end of the month is likely also going to be opening up an opportunity for you to secure some kind of new regular or perhaps one-time bonus opportunity for a bit of extra money as well, something that you could actually make stick if you wanted to. We also have, however, that Jupiter forming a square to Saturn and Neptune in Aries. And so this is the time of your uncomfortable graduation. So when Jupiter squares to Saturn and Neptune, this is not just a tone that gets set for June. This is something that's actually going to be something that kind of carries through July and into August as well. And so when we have Jupiter do this, there's an opportunity for you to raise up something in your life that could be possibly, again, a personal income plan or something around a side project, a personal enterprise, a personal business enterprise, or maybe even generate some extra money for yourself. But you're going to have to make a dedicated adjustment to the way you might be handling other people, in particular your social life, your personal life, or possibly even where you are trying to accomplish this feat. Sometimes we have to be ready to make those adjustments in order to grow. And with Jupiter square to Saturn and Neptune, it is going to be important, but it is also something that's setting you up for maybe a superior success as well. We also have Mars in Leo and Virgo this month. And so Mars, for the first half of the month, is in your 9th house of expansion, growth, big moves, big travel opportunities, anything to do with big city kind of vibes, official dealings, official matters, popularity, and even your spiritual life. Now, with Mars in Leo for the first half of the month, this is a time where a lot of you Sagittarius people are getting a chance to have something that you have been putting out there, that you have been trying to get done, get taken to a new success by people that are taking notice of you. Now, this could be sometimes, the case that somebody does show up and offer to make something bigger, faster, better, stronger than maybe you have or other people have in the past. Mars in the 9th house can sometimes, as Mars does, bring somebody into our lives that is going to help us go the distance. Mars here can also be a very, very good thing for anybody looking to tackle or break some kind of bubble that they have been trapped in that's been maybe keeping them caught in a certain space and time. And for the second half of the month, Mars is in Virgo, your 10th house of career, upward mobility, status, station, promotions, and raises. And with Mars in the 10th house, things get competitive, but things get competitively rewarding as well, especially when it comes to opportunities to not only show your stuff, but maybe raise yourself up in the world under the eyes of authority figures and the eyes of others. You might be making some serious competitive gains this month, but you've got to be ready to show up and throw your weight around and let your methods be tested every once in a while as you do. We also have Venus in Taurus almost all month long, and this is your 6th house of work, reputation, your schedule, the people that you serve, and the teams that you serve with. And with Venus in your 6th house, again, this is where you are becoming kind of the star of the show. You're becoming not only very popular and getting a lot of important spotlights shining on you, but you may be noticing that you are attracting a lot more friends, well-wishers, and allies than you normally do with what you do. With Venus in the 6th house, this is a time where you could be making a new name for yourself. It's a very powerful time for reputational changes, but it's also a really, really good time for anybody looking to maybe renegotiate or make an adjustment about certain work commitments, employment contracts, schedules, or benefits plans, if that's something that you do need to change as well. Venus is also going to be lighting up your life with turning you into another important opportunity and money magnet, which just seems to be a big theme for you all throughout the course of June. And finally, we've got our full moon in your sign in Sagittarius to talk about, and his trine to Chiron in Aries. So as with the big waves of Jupiter, we've got this other big shift going on with release of redundant realities to talk about. And for you, it's likely going to be the case that there is something going on where you might have to let go of some kind of old goal, old personal ambition, or even old road that you maybe planned on finishing in order to take on a better opportunity. Sometimes this can show up where we need to be ready to get off of a track that we have been overly committed to, whether it's a personal path, a personal plan, a personal ambition, a personal strategy, a personal way of life, because there is going to be something that's actually going to be very healing for another pursuit. It may be that we have to give up a methodology, a way that we go about getting things done in the world for something superior that is going to release you from a reality that seems to be kind of on a loop. So that's what I've got for you, Sagittarius people. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, don't forget my name is Nico, son of Selene, and should you ever want to get a personal reading with me, head on over to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com. All right, Capricorn, let's have a look and see what's going on when it comes to your June 2025 and your big waves and graduations. And so at the start of the month, we've got the Sun and Mercury together in Gemini. Your sixth house of work, reputation, your schedule, anything relating to the teams that you're on and the teams that you serve with. And with the Sun and Mercury here, this is going to kind of push you in terms of an opportunity to accelerate the rate with which you are accumulating wealth, but also help you to make some important lane shifts as it relates to your job, your work life, or maybe even what you are bringing to the table with what you're, providing to your community or to your workspace that is going to actually set you up for a fairly substantial promotion or raise opportunity as we go later on into this year. With the Sun and Mercury in the sixth house, this is also a great time to speed up completions of certain projects or chapters in your life as it relates to work, as it relates to health, or anything relating to what you want to be known for or provide to your community. So make sure that you use this first 8-9 days of the month well. We also have the Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, and a new moon all in Cancer, your seventh house of partnerships and closest one-on-one connections this month. And this is where the big waves are washing in. Jupiter going into the seventh house is extremely powerful and extremely important. And over the course of this coming 12 months, but starting in June, because Jupiter is going to be here for a year, you might be noticing some important shifts going on with the layout of a lot of your closest one-on-one connections. So this could be platonic, this could be business, this could be romantic, all of them really. A lot of you are going to notice that things are starting to thrive in a completely different way. And with Jupiter here, there is a blessing on all partnerships or partnership opportunities you'd like to attract. Some of you may be getting engaged, even married. A lot of you may be noticing business partnerships and joint ventures going into a new renaissance, coming into new prosperity. This is a great time for anybody looking to start some kind of important alliance or union, or even, again, attract the people that we would like to form those alliances and unions with in whatever capacity. The new moon in Cancer is also going to be opening up a new chapter in these relationships, or at least one important one, as we go through the back end of the month. And the Sun and Mercury are also going to be speeding up developments with roads and projects that have fallen behind themselves as far as anything that you might be doing jointly with others. Jupiter, however, once he makes this move, will also be square to Saturn and Neptune in Aries. And this is where your uncomfortable graduation is. And for a lot of you, there is going to be an opportunity to see a major level up in some kind of important partnership affair. Whether this is, again, romantic, business, platonic, it doesn't matter. But it is something that is going to come into a bit of a clash with something that you have become way too rooted in or way too stuck in on a home, residential, or home economy front. You are going to need to graduate out of maybe a space where you have allowed yourself to get stuck or to get rooted to the point where other things are not allowed to grow or partnerships are not allowed to grow. This could also be an important time where a lot of you are getting a chance to be raised up in the world by some important allies and partners, but it is going to pull you out of maybe the shell you once called home. We also have Mars in Leo and Virgo this month. And with Mars in Leo, Mars is in your 8th house of shared resources, passive income, bonus capital, but also intimacy. And with Mars in the 8th house, it tends to focus a bit more on the carnal. And this could be actually a very sexy month for a lot of you Capricorn people. Things tend to get hot, heavy, and wild when Mars is in the 8th house, because Mars in the 8th house is all about the courage to overcome fear of vulnerability, as well as even also bring a little bit more sexuality to a hotter place. And so for a lot of you, this could be a month where you're getting a chance to kind of, wild out a little bit in a good carnal way. Just keep in mind, you've got other priorities that you need to mind while you do. The second half of the month, Mars will be in Virgo, which is your 9th house of expansion, growth, big moves, and big travel opportunities. And this is also an area that talks about anything official or big city, as it were. And for a lot of you, Mars here is going to be helping you to clear away some kind of old business, old big contracts, or old roads that you do need to get off as far as these matters are concerned, but also likely bring in some kind of important ally or some kind of important support or friend or maybe hookup that is going to help you to take something out of a small pond and into that big city experience. We also have Venus in Taurus pretty much all month long, which is your 5th house of love and romance, but also artistic and personal business enterprises. And with Venus here, this is where a lot of you are going to be getting a chance to enjoy kind of a honeymoon sort of month. Venus in the 5th house likes to do a bit of a refresher on the love life. And so whether this is about a brand new story for a relationship that you're in, if you're coupled or married, or maybe even attracting in new relationship opportunities for those of you that are looking, Venus is going to be all about it, because Venus likes to bring comfort and ease, but also, again, some very sweet pleasures and that bright honeymoon experience along with herself. And she's going to be here in this part of your chart, like I said, for pretty much the entirety of June. And finally, we got to talk about the full moon in Sagittarius, trine Chiron in Aries. What is your version of the release of redundant realities? So redundant realities, we talked about that in the opening chapter of this video, but for you, this full moon in Sagittarius is going to be clearing away something from the past that you have held on to for far too long. We got to remember that some things that we hold on to are only things that we hold on to because we don't want to accept that they're done and over and can't come back. And when we have a full moon in the 12th house, it is a time of forced movement where we might have been procrastinating while pretending to have something that we want to get back to working on. And this could be a project, this could be something that is very old, this could be something we've been trying to heal, it could be something that we don't feel like we have adequate resolution of, but it is something that maybe has been exerting a bad influence over you or exerting a bad influence over others. However it goes. Could even be something material, financial, or on a family level. However, the second half of the month is going to be all about the release and removal of whatever this is. And the good news is by the time we get into the second half of June, this clearing and this release is also going to be something that's very healing for you on a home, family, or home economy level. So that's what we've got for your astrology, Capricorn. I hope you found this helpful. And if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. You know I appreciate it. And if you ever want to get a personal reading with me, head on over to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com. All right, Aquarius, let's have a look and see what's going on when it comes to your June 2025 and what are your big waves and graduations. Well, at the start of the month, we've got the Sun and Mercury together in Gemini, which is your 5th house of love, romance, but also creative and personal enterprises. And with the Sun and Mercury here, this is a time for speedy advancement, especially when it comes to anything that you are looking to maybe mature or grow, either in your personal life, whether it's something that you're working on with a romantic partner, or maybe you're looking to mature something with somebody new or new-ish, or open up your social life to mix and mingle and connect with somebody new. This is going to be extremely helpful because it brings in accelerated communications and a lot more lively energy into this part of your chart. However, this is also going to be very helpful for those of you who do own your own business or are looking to monetize a creative pursuit or project, because you might be noticing that picking up quite a bit of traction in the first 10 days, if you're doing any work with it. We also have the Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, and a new moon in Cancer, which is your 6th house of work, your reputation, your schedule, the people that you serve, and the teams that you serve with. And this is going to be where we see the big waves washing you to better roads. And for a lot of you, this Jupiter move into your 6th house is going to be immense. And it's not just for this month. Jupiter is going to be in this part of your chart all the way up for the next 12 months. When Jupiter goes into your 6th house, this is a time where you become large and in charge. You are starting to actually ascend in the eyes of other people in terms of becoming a more prominent figure in your community, maybe a more prominent figure at work, maybe even getting a chance to rise up to the level of, eventually becoming an authority figure, an influence, or a powerhouse yourself. Money is going to be coming to you in a way where you're noticing you're getting more value for what you are giving to others, or what you are putting into your work, or what are you putting out into the world. And you may also notice some transformations around the local market, or maybe even get a chance to make a big move or a big shift with your job, your vocation, your business, your career to get to a better market if that's what you would prefer. The Sun and Mercury and this new moon here, especially over the course of June, is going to be bringing wave after wave after wave of important atmospheric and environmental shifts when it comes to what you've become used to around your community, around your job, to again bring in more value and also better business, however you want to define better business, whether that's better assignments, better projects, better work, better numbers, better people. It does not matter. This is a beautiful, beautiful start to a very beautiful 12 months. We also have, however, Jupiter square to Saturn and Neptune, which brings in your uncomfortable graduation period. That starts in June, but is a huge feature of the next few months. And that is where Jupiter is square to Saturn and Neptune in your 3rd house of communications, commitments, contracts, and collaborations. You might be getting a chance to get moving on up in the world, but you won't be able to take everybody with you. And sometimes that is a lesson we have to learn. We can't just always drag the posse with us wherever we want to go. And there could be something going on where you're getting a chance to graduate out of a space, a caste, a group, or maybe a road that you've been in, but you may also have to be ready to release, let go of, or renegotiate certain contracts, commitments, or collaborations that you have in order to make enough space to accommodate the boosts that you are getting. And that is a crucial part of life. We have to be ready to adapt, and this is going to be good for you, but again, an uncomfortable graduation. We also have Mars in Leo and Virgo this month. The first half of the month, Mars is in Leo, your 7th house of partnerships and closest one-on-one connections. The boyfriend, girlfriend, BFF, business partner, husband, wife, roommate, all the people you have your most involved one-on-one connections with, in any other capacity that I didn't list. And with Mars in this part of your chart, this is a time where a lot of walls are getting knocked down and a lot of blockages are getting knocked down when it comes to partnership accomplishments, as well as partnership closeness, trust, and productivity. Mars is all about movement. Mars does not like ruts. Mars does not like routines. Mars does not like playing games, playing house, or playing period. And so with Mars, we're seeing this sort of shift in a lot of personal dynamics where you are noticing that partnerships are starting to thrive because a lot of blockages and a lot of things that have been keeping maybe other plans stuck or still are going away. And you might also find with Mars here that blockages to attaining the partnership that you want on the terms that you want are also getting knocked away. We also have, when Mars goes into Virgo in the second half of the month, this is your 8th house of shared resources, passive income, but also intimacy. And Mars in the 8th house brings in more of the carnal to you. And this could be a time where things are getting very hot for the Aquarius people. Some of you may be deciding that it's time to let your hair down and get a little bit wild. And Mars in the 8th house is all about it. It brings out bravery, it brings out courage, it brings out bold expressions of one's intimate language and sexual language, but also at the same time brings in opportunities for greater connectivity. Just don't get so caught up in it that you forget you have other priorities and other good stuff going on, because sometimes that can happen with Mars in Virgo if a person's not smart about it. We also have Venus in Taurus pretty much all month long. This is your fourth house of home, family, living situation, and home economy. And this is going to be a very sweet month for home economics as well. So you might be noticing it's not just you who's going through some good shifts here, but maybe family members, partners, kids, things like that, especially when it comes to more income or more boosts, more creature comforts, and a boost to the quality of life for the overall family. This is also a great month for anybody looking to do any kind of home environment transformations, whether it's alterations, beautifications, moves, it does not matter. And home-based business operations are becoming money magnets as well. And finally, we got to talk about the full moon in Sagittarius, trine Chiron in Aries, which is, yes, one of the other big waves that we're all going through this month. And so it's all about, again, a release of redundant realities. And for you, this full moon in Sagittarius trine to Chiron in Aries is likely going to put you in a position where you have to be ready to let go of a toxic friendship, a toxic association, or an unhealthy connection that is actually the reason you might not be able to make the headway with some other kind of social desire or a sense of community, or maybe even something for yourself that you want. Sometimes we got to look and see what the company that we keep is putting into our world vibe-wise, and sometimes, people do not give a crap about what they're putting out there and how they're putting you through it. And there may be something that comes up where you might catch and realize, hey, hold on a second. The reason we can't have nice things is because we keep holding space for this jackass or this hoe. And we need to find a way to clear that out, because believe me, some people can be living jinxes. And I feel like there may be something coming up here where you might have to do that once or twice. Some serious social pruning will end a redundant reality at the end of June. So that's what I've got for you all. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, don't forget my name is Nico, son of Celine, and should you ever want to get a personal reading with me, you can go on ahead to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com. All right, Pisces, let's talk about your June 2025 and your big waves and graduations. At the start of the month, you've got the Sun and Mercury together in Gemini in your fourth house of home, family, and home economy. And this is a brilliant boost to any kind of home economic concerns, home-based business operations, or anything where money is coming in and out of the house, whether it's through you, whether it's through family, a partnership, it does not matter. Because Mercury and the Sun together are all about accelerated communications and accelerated movement. And you may be noticing that as we start up the month of June, things are becoming a lot more comfortable, but also a lot more industrious and a lot more cash rich for a lot of you. So welcome the change, but also at the same time be ready. The Sun and Mercury together always want us to find a way to see what makes it work versus what didn't make it work in the past, and learn from what the trend is starting to show us. We also have the Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, and a new moon in Cancer this month, which is your fifth house of love and romance and personal business enterprises and artistic pursuits. And Jupiter is setting up a really, really strong brand new trend for you for the next 12 months. It's just coming in because in these big wave forms because of all of this activity from the Sun and Mercury and a new moon as well. But again, what happens in June sets up a very strong story for the next 12 months. And for Jupiter in the fifth house, this is definitely the time of really strong romantic and even spiritually romantic connections to rise up and kind of take center stage and thrive. Jupiter in the fifth house is all about a huge transformation to the very layout of our love life and what is available and where these stories are going. Jupiter in the fifth house can also bring up a time where a lot of you Piscean people might be meeting opportunities to grow or maybe finally enact dream enterprises, dream business enterprises. Mercury and the Sun are going to help to align you with that, especially if you feel like maybe certain wishes or certain dreams that you have are not really coming true the right way, or they've gone off the rails, or they've become something that you did not intend them to be, or you realize that they're not going to get you to where you wanted them to go. The Sun and Mercury and Jupiter together are also going to be helping you to alter the courses of certain stories in your life that maybe have been kind of keeping you, or maybe your love life or a personal business, in a reality that it's not really home in. But also this new moon is going to be ushering in some kind of new story or new chapter or new beginning as well. This is a great time for new love, but this is also a time where even a lot of you over the course of the next few months might be finding yourselves getting engaged or even married or cohabitating with partners or lovers or partner perspectives. It's all in all becoming a very, very strong romantic vibe over the course of this next 12 months, but very, very strong here in June and July. We also have, however, Jupiter, once he moves into your 5th house, forming a square to Saturn and Neptune together in Aries. And so this is also going to be ushering in your uncomfortable graduation experience, right? As we said in the opening chapter of this video, everyone's going to have an uncomfortable graduation experience. And this could indicate some kind of big win for your personal life, for your romantic life, your love life, or maybe even, again, a personal business dream or a personal business enterprise, or maybe an artistic passion. But it is going to require you to be ready to graduate away from, let go of, or make an adjustment to some kind of work, career, or trajectory that you've set up or had set up around you. And it is important to pay attention to where sometimes we have to know how to veer and veer properly. Unlike most people I give astrology readings to, where I'm usually telling people they need to play it safer. For you Pisces people, this is kind of like asking you, okay, where have we sold out to play it safe? Where have we been selling out or had something sold out without us knowing to play it safe or play another person's game? And some of you could be going through an opportunity to graduate in terms of even your work life and your career, but it's going to require you to veer out of some lane that you've been in. We also have Mars in Leo and Virgo this month. And with Mars in Leo, this is your 6th house of work, your reputation, your schedule, as well as anything relating to the people you serve and the teams that you serve with. Mars in this part of your chart is extremely helpful because it does bring in or bring closer to us allies, both known and new, that are going to be able to help really transform maybe the performance of something we've got going on, either in a community or career space. This can also indicate competitive opportunities for you to maybe take on loftier roles, loftier ambitions, or maybe even, yes, make some serious headway with a professional goal or dream that has maybe been detouring for a long time. We also have, after Mars goes into Virgo, more emphasis on partnerships. Virgo is your sector of closest one-on-one connections, the boyfriend, girlfriend, BFF, business partner, husband, wife, roommate, and all the people you have your most involved, closest one-on-one connections with. And with Mars in Virgo for the second half of June and going even into July, this is a time where blockades, barriers, and distances get removed when it comes to joint partnership goals or anything that could be keeping you from maybe attaining or getting into the relationships that you want to have, be they platonic, business, or romantic. And with Mars here, this is also going to be tearing down walls of closeness, tearing down walls of intimacy, but it can also, again, kind of rework a lot of the landscape of our social life or our comfort zone at the same time. So overall, it's really, really good. But at the same time, it's going to be maybe a little bit more fast, fantastic action than we've been used to for a while. But that's something we talked about in the opening chapter, right, of this video. We also have Venus in Taurus pretty much all month long. This is your Third house of communications, pacts, promises, commitments, helpful third parties, and collaborations. And this is helping you out with all kinds of very important hookups, matchmaking opportunities, referrals, people really kind of running good interference for you, whether this is for, again, personal reasons, professional reasons, it does not matter. A lot of the times with Venus in the third house, people have a way of just opening roads for us. And so you want to be ready to follow those roads when they open. But we also have our full moon in Sagittarius, trine Chiron and Aries to talk about as well. And this full moon is going to be landing in your 10th house of career, upward mobility, status, station, promotions, and raises, but trine to Chiron in your income sector. And this is all about the release of redundant realities, things in our lives that are basically just like watching the same Blu-ray over and over and over again, but expecting a different movie once the credits are done rolling. There is likely going to be something coming up in the second half of the month where you're getting a chance to ditch a cycle or ditch a stuck space as it relates to career, as it relates to your income, or maybe even, again, a personal business ambition or something that's gone off the rails. But it does require you to actually release it. The interesting thing is that with this full moon trine to Chiron, it's also going to be something that in that release and following that release, you're going to notice a big boost to your earning power, especially as we go through July and August. So that is what I've got for you, Pisces. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, don't forget my name is Nico, son of Selene. And should you ever want to get a personal reading with me, you can go on over to my website. It's integrativemysticism.com. Y'all take care.